guys, welcome to Hollows Fright. My name is Ezra Royal.
And I'm Heaven Williams.
And today we're going to be talking about Fear Street, 1994, part 1. So we recently watched this part 1 of the trilogy yesterday, because we wanted to get a fresh view of this. I originally watched it back in 2021 when it came out. It came out July 2nd, 2021. And I really enjoyed the movie. Like, it was really good. Like, the franchise in general is great, and I can't wait to see them do the continuation of the movies. And I kind of hope they do release like another trilogy set of it. But it's inspired by a book series named by the same name, Fear Street, that came out. I'm not actually sure when it came out. In the 1980s, late 80s, so 1989, so forth, by R.L. Stein. And there's like a whole genre, not a whole genre, but there's like a whole like
category
for them. Yeah, it came out then. But I guess let's jump right down to it and get into the movie. So our movie starts off at the Shadyside Mall, where we get our first slaying. So basically, a deep dive of this town. Well, a very brief deep dive. After a series of brutal slayings, a teen and her friend, that teen being
Dina.
It was Dina, Sam,
Simon, Kate, and Josh.
Josh is her brother. Kate and I forgot his name again. My bad.
Simon.
Kate and Simon are her basically best friends, and Sam is her ex-girlfriend, which is also, I guess, their ex-best friends. Because we never really got a full backstory if they were like a friend group first. It's kind of left to be that, but it was left as though Sam was a additive because she was the girlfriend of our main character. But that's neither here nor there. That's the friend group. That's the situation. So, basically, murders are nothing new to this town. Shadyside has been dealing with murders since its literal induction, and I forgot the actual date, but I know it was in the 1600s, right? So, long story short, the most recent murder was from a local high school girl. Her name was Heather, and it was basically, she was closing that night, and this is the first thing we actually see in the movie. She was closing basically a bookstore. She was their equivalent of a Barnes & Nobles back then. She was closing the bookstore. Her friend called her. He was in a store that was equivalent to basically like a Spencer's that we have now, and a Hot Topic kind of put together, but definitely more on the Spencer side. Basically, he was closing the store down. She was closing her store down. He was like, give me 15 minutes. Let me go finish closing this, and then I'll walk you home, because she didn't want to walk to her car, walk home by herself. I forgot which one it was. Long story short, he ends up getting possessed. And we can tell he gets possessed because when these characters get taken over by Sarah Fear herself, supposedly Sarah Fear herself, they kind of look like zombies in a sense of just like not being in their bodies. And they're just kind of moving. But he wears a mask, he wears a costume that he didn't have on earlier, I kind of believe. And his name was Ryan, the character's name was Ryan. Ryan's wearing this mask, right? Ryan comes out. We kind of see him running in the background. She doesn't notice it. A book falls down, whatever that is. Next thing you know, it goes into full chase. She's being stabbed in the stomach. Luckily, she had a book in her hand to protect her. See, readers are always protected. They're always protected.
Yeah.
So she does that. She starts fighting her way out. Long story short, she's getting murdered, right? He ends up succeedingly killing her.
And a couple of other
mall workers
employees,
at night. But before then, she was able to call the police. They did send a police officer out. The police officer gets there literally in the lick of time as she's being murdered. Unfortunately, she doesn't survive, but he's able to shoot our Ryan Torres right in the head. So he ends that. And Mr. Good, which is the police officer, his first name was in the show Nick. It was Nick Good. We're gonna get into his whole family later on, and I think specifically in the third trilogy, the third movie in the trilogy, because that's where we get the whole backstory of his whole family line. But just know he's an important character. Not really in this story as so much, but more in the sense of his family. So after that, we jump to present day, which is just 2 days after the incident. It's on the news everywhere in the town and all that fun stuff. We have our main character, Dina. She's getting ready for her day. She's kind of like if you've ever seen Shameless, she's kind of like a Fiona character in the sense that she basically takes care of her home. Her dad's an alcoholic. He works all the time. He's seemingly a single parent. So a lot of her character is driven from the forefront of her being basically
a guardian
slash homemaker for her and her brother. Because when their dad is home, he's either asleep or he's drinking or watching TV. He's not actively, productively in their life. And we see that in the movie in the like 48 hours that we see. Like the dad is literally not there. We see her picking up beer cans from the night before that he was there. So I'm guessing gets home like really early in the morning or really late at night while they're asleep. He drinks, a little sad, a little depressed, and watches TV. Goes take a little nap, wake up, go to work the next day. Really in the morning. So they physically do not get to see their father. We do not see their father pretty much in the whole movie. We don't get to see their father.
Yeah.
And we're guessing a lot of their parents follow that same kind of scheme because we've seen none of their parents. Mm-hmm. We know that Simon is basically the breadwinner for his family. He's been working for his family since he was 15, I believe. Yeah. He's the only one that brings in money in his family. And we don't have much backstory on Kate. Mm-hmm. Kate seemingly has a pretty decent like household. She's not rich whatsoever. Nobody in this story is from this side of town. They all are working, but she sells drugs and paraphernalia on the side to help herself get out of the town. But she's a well-kept, groomed person. Mm-hmm. We don't hear her talking about any negativities with her family like we do with the other characters. So seemingly her family is generally stereotypically functioning, right? Mm-hmm. They just aren't well off. We know she's a babysitter. She sells paraphernalia on the side. Like she's a little hustler. She's a little character from Euphoria. Long story short, Kate, Dina, and Simon end up going to their local football game, which is kind of overblown by the whole loss of their friend. Well, it wasn't even their friend, their classmate. So in Sunnyside, which is where they were having the game at, they went to the Sunnyside High School. Which all you need to know about Sunnyside in this town is that, well, technically there's two towns. There's Shadyside, and then there is Sunnyside. Sunnyside is always basically the upscale part of society. That's what that is. There's no murders, there's no crime. It's peace, happy, and joy. Shadyside is the complete opposite. There is no upscale. It's sadness, depression, death, murder, more death and more murder, and curses. That's all it is. And we kind of get that vibe from the beginning of the movie, basically, and especially when we see them start to drive from out of Shadyside into Sunnyside. You kind of physically you see the differences. If you've ever seen Outer Banks and how they kind of was driving from the the Kooks part of town.
Who's that?
So Dina ends up leaving the group from the candlelight vigil to go sit in depression because her girlfriend, her ex-girlfriend, may I add, was seen hugged up and butt grabbed by one of the Sunnyside dudes that she now goes to school with. And the reason that they ended up breaking up was actually Dina ended up breaking up with Sam because Sam was moving because her parents were getting a divorce because I don't know, they just weren't working out. And her mom decided to move to Sunnyvale to have better prospects, where her dad stayed in Shadyside, which we've never seen the dad actually. And as anybody would want, Sam wanted a better life for herself, so she decided to move in with her mom instead of staying with her dad. And that ended up having issues with her girlfriend. Her girlfriend was like, you chose fakeness over me, all that, when it wasn't even that deep because the towns are literally a drive away. It doesn't take 3-4 hours. We've seen it in the movie. It takes all but maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So they can still hang out with each other. They can still hang around. Her dad's still here. So it's not like she has no connections to this part of town. She ended up just simply leaving because of better opportunities, and her girlfriend was sad about that. Her girlfriend, Dina's this portion of the movie is very down and, oh, all is me, the world's ending, we're all doomed anyway. But you can't really blame her. Her life has not been really that great from the beginning, and she's kind of settled in to her life, pretty much, to her environment. Whereas even one of her friends are trying to see the better outlook of it and trying to move on.
So after the little tiff with Sam and Dina, back on the field where the football players were, I'm pretty sure it was Peter. Peter said something shady about the Shadyside little pun. Anyways, and they started to have a altercation, a little fight, and then it started getting bigger and bigger. Simon and Kate joined in, and Kate got absolutely knocked out. And then back on the bus, they were like, oh, very rowdy about getting payback on the Sunnysiders because they was not finna let that slide. Anyways, and then Dina, she's just so over it. She's laying down in the back of the bus and she sees Peter and Sam and their friend group basically speeding behind their school bus, and they start throwing bottles, glass bottles, I'm not sure what was in it, but glass bottles at the bus. And so Simon, Kate, and Dina were like, "No, this is not going to happen." So they were not going for it. So they get a Gatorade. I'm pretty sure it was Gatorade jug, and they're getting ready to throw it um off the back of the bus out of the emergency exit. But then Dina's nose started bleeding, and Kate seen it and was like, "Oh my gosh, your nose is bleeding!" And then she dropped the Gatorade bucket on the car, which was an accident, but it was going to happen anyways, causing causing Sam and Peter to crash into the woods. Sam gets out the car and she sees her nose is bleeding as well. And she touches her blood, and then she touches inside the little mosh dirt or whatever. And she sees Seraphir in like visions or whatever. And that's where like it started to get really crazy. After that, Dina, Simon, and Kate go to help Sam because she's hurt, obviously, and she spits blood on Simon's shirt and Dina's shoes, which is a really important part later on. But basically, they get everything figured out, and once they're with the police, the cops, Dina is talking to Peter in a very like aggressive way, but Peter sees the cop and doesn't want to get in trouble, so he hugs her and basically like threatens her that they're going to get revenge back on her for the car or whatever. And so once all that has happened, they go home. Sam is in the hospital, and yeah, so they're all home trying to forget about it. Dina and Josh are home, cooking pizza or whatever, living regularly. And Dina sees someone, no, Dina hears a knock at the door. And so she's like, who's at the door? Blah, blah, blah. And so she opens the door and no one's there. She sees across the street a figure and she assumes that it's Peter because of what he said. And so she tells him to go away, blah, blah, blah. And so she closes the door. And she sees him again after in her kitchen window, um, after they're getting a pizza or whatever. So she gets the knife and threatens to like go out there and do something. And then once she goes out the door, he's gone. But basically after that, go to Simon and Kate. They're dealing drugs. They got these two twin girls helping them. And because they're babysitting, well, Kate was babysitting. And once they're over there, once they switch over to Kate and Simon, they see the same figure that was at Dina's house break into their house and go inside their laundry. And so they're concerned, like, why is Peter in our laundry? They still think it's Peter. They don't know that it is Ryan Torres, um basically the killer coming after Heather. But so he breaks in the house, stabs a hole in the shirt with Sam's blood on it. And so they're both very concerned. And so they go to the hospital where Sam is because they're going to try to tell Sam to control her boyfriend. But the whole time, Peter was there at the hospital with Sam. And as they're talking, arguing back and forth, trying to figure out what's going on, Dina and Sam, um, Peter gets stabbed by the figure Ryan Torres, and so now they know that it was not Peter. In fact, that was at their houses. So then they cut back to they're running out of the hospital, and so now they know that like something supernatural is going on because they seen Ryan's mask come off, and they're like, no, Ryan got shot in the head. Literally, we saw him. And so yeah, and then they go to the police station to explain. They don't believe them, But they go explain, and basically the cops tell them to go home. They're going to try to figure it out. They were not going to try to do anything. But anyways, basically, and then Simon had to go pee. And that's where we see the second henchman that supposedly Sarah Fierce sent after them, which was, I forget her name, but she was singing, and then she came after Simon.
Her name was Ruby Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she ended up sitting there all hunched over, like semi in a fetal position, singing a little song, and then Simon being Simon walks up to her, expecting, as he puts, a hot chick or babe, one of the two. He literally said one of the two. And he walks up to her, trying to see if she's like okay, and I guess talk to her, whatnot. And she looks up, looking all like, dead inside, because she's dead inside. She's been dead for 30 years. And immediately cuts the back of his ankle. And he's sitting there fighting with her, wrestling with her, and she is overpowering him. Hello, Sabrina. Sabrina, my cat, decided to join us. She decided, they're sitting there wrestling and fighting, and Dina ended up pulling up with them in the ambulance and ended up shooting her right in the head. No, it wasn't a head. It was like it wasn't a head. It was an eye. It was an eye. Yeah, it was an eye. Right in the eye. And then he gets up, runs towards them. She drops the gun, can't believe what she did, until she starts seeing the body get back up. And she's like, oh yeah, that's not right. And then they get away. So that was one of the first, that was the second instance where somebody from the dead has come back to basically get them. So long story short, it's all because of Sam's blood. It's all because of Sam's blood. When she bled onto the grave, the little red moss grass area, basically Sarah Fierce's grave, it brung a connection between her and Sarah Fierce and all of them. And from their point of view, Sarah is sending all of these henchmen after them to kill Sam, because she's seen to it. She's disturbed the grave. That's actually not what it is, but we'll get back to that in the next movie. But so basically from this point, we have a whole dilemma of the characters in the show. I mean, this is where we see a lot of characters kind of like express themselves a lot more. So we see Dina and Sam get closer together again. We start seeing them re-spark their romantic kindle, because also, Sunnyside boy is dead now. He got assassinated in the hospital room. But we start seeing them reconnect, right? And we start seeing them work through some of their problems, talk some stuff out, and just get together. We also seen, which honestly I was happy for when I seen it, but we've seen Josh and Kate get together, who is Dana's best friend and brother. Those two get together in the bathroom stall as they're preparing to kind of like blow all the creatures up in one little area. And so they had like a little love scene in the episode. I don't know if they made out or they knucked and bucked in the bathroom. I don't know what it was.
No, they just made out, which was very nasty, in the school bathroom. Like,
also, I don't know why they separated like that.
Oh yeah, she was like, "Oh, I'm scared to go alone. Why didn't she just go with the boys into the bathroom? Like, I surely would have."
Cause I don't know, and like Samuel is really bold, first of all, because I don't know if I would have went into that bathroom by myself.
Wait, who's Samuel?
Did I say his name wrong?
Simon.
Look, it takes me a while to learn names. Simon was really bold because I would have went into the bathroom by myself. I'm be completely honest with you. I wouldn't have done it. No. I would have been too scared. Like, we all going together in the same bathroom. I'm not going to be murdered by myself. But we're in this together, okay, guys? But that was me. I don't know. He was bold. He was doing different. He was also dancing and feeling himself in the bathroom. Yeah. Honestly, he was a whole vibe. He was living for himself, and it was just everything. Yeah. But basically, long story short, the plan doesn't work. It works. It actually, their little heist, their little idea pans out. Yes. It works out. But
they all come back from the dead. Yeah. From mush.
So that's where the plan kind of exits. So then they get trapped in a room in the school, and they basically argue, and they come up with the idea that they basically have to sacrifice Sam. They have to let her go out there and get killed. Yeah. And Sam's like, yeah, I don't want y'all to die for me. Yeah. I get it. While as Dana is over there really fighting. She's like, no!
Fighting for her life. She's like, not my baby.
She's like, not her baby. Mind you, the relationship is toxic, not from Sam's point, but from Dana's point. Something is wrong with that girl. Like, she needs a little bit of a mental evaluation. Especially at the end of the movie, like the way she just actually said, I'm going to say, like, yeah. She's deeply in love. I get it. But the only reason y'all were apart was because of you. Really, you didn't communicate properly. But
Yeah.
that's beside the point. Communication is important, guys. So she was sitting there, and she goes out there to sacrifice herself. They had to hold Dana back, and then all of a sudden, her brother Josh puts everything together and realizes that somebody else had this exact same experience where they seen Sarah Fierce, but they survived to tell the tale.
Yes.
So they snatched her back in, told her about the plan. Basically, they have to kill her. She has to die in order for them to stop trying. Yeah, basically in order for the curse to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to go ahead and try to kill her. So they jump out the school window, run to the grocery store, and basically where Simon works, and basically try to get her to OD because his brother. Basically, it was stated a lot of times in this movie that his brother had OD'd, but they brought him back to life.
Right.
So they basically were foreshadowing that that's what they had due to her.
That, yeah.
So, Kate being her little master drug mind paraphernalia seller, love her. She basically brings into like 5 different piles of pills, different cocktails of medications to bring her down, bring her up, bring her lower, and then finally just to make her heart stop and then she had the EpiPens ready to bring her back to life. Don't know if that's actually how that works.
Yeah.
But it worked in the story. Long story short, it ended up working because she couldn't take the last pill. So Dana had to end up drowning the girl. Which that was the biggest plot hole in the story.
Yeah.
Is that they drowned her, but they brought her back with EpiPens. They did do a little CPR at the end, but it wasn't like full-on CPR. Like, they stuck 5 EpiPens in her chest and were like, come back to life. And I was like, girl, no, she drowned. She didn't die from overdose. She died from drowning.
Yeah.
She didn't take the last pile of pills to really finish the overdose.
And as Dina was drowning Sam, both of our lovely friends from the friend group was killed. Kate was killed horrible
by a bread cutter
to the brain, to the skull. And also, they both died by getting like their head bashed out. Simon got killed by that scary man.
The big axe dude.
He had an axe in the head. And then Josh was about to get killed by, I think it was Ryan, she dies, and so the curse breaks.
That was the scariest part for me, honestly, was seeing how they both stopped and looked at her dead body, and then out of nowhere, boom, an axe goes right through Josh's head. Samuel's head.
That was crazy. Simon's
head. That was actually that I jumped when I first seen the movie. I jumped at that part because I was like, oh no!
It was very shocking.
I kind of wish they would have lived, well, at least one of them, but I get it. Like, we're left with 3 people, which is actually in a horror movie is pretty big part of the cast. Like, that's the majority of the cast. It's pretty big. But basically they think it's all over, and at the very end of the movie they get a call from Sydney, which was the last individual who seen and survived all the curse and stuff. And as we were getting that call, we get a little flash forward. Not even a flash forward. It was like that wasn't a time jump.
No, it was.
We get a shot from what was currently happening at the time, and they basically wrote Sam's full name in this little like ritual 10 Commandments type situation where it's like big stone pillars underground, and they wrote like they were writing her name under there, and then all of a sudden she turned into one of the little zombies, and she tries to kill her girlfriend. And they're able to tie her down and all that good stuff. And that's where we see that Dana was just like, we're going to save you. I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back. And that was like the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
So, first of all, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
It was really a lot. But the movie was really freaking good. And I really enjoyed it. And the characters, I don't know, they did a lot for me. Yeah. They did a lot for me entertainment-wise. And it was very easy for me to fall in love with them. One of my favorite characters by far, and I don't think there's any surprise based on how we've been talking about him, is Samuel. Simon. Oh my gosh. You think that I would know his name. Yes, Simon. I just love him. He was a funny, weirdly charismatic, greatly energetic dude. Useful. He was very useful.
Yes.
And that's why I love this. All the characters in this show, this movie were very useful.
Yes.
Like, nobody was at that weird out by out that was just there because they were pretty, or just because they were really hot, or they were the jock of the store. Like, everybody had a function to them.
Yes.
And that was nice to see. And I kind of like that because, like, Netflix also did that with Stranger Things. How we would have thought that, what's her name? I forgot her name, dang.
Elle?
Not Elle.
Max?
the other girl.
Nancy.
Yes, I always forget her name. Nancy. She's one of my favorite characters from that show too. How you would think, based on her dating the jock and from the beginning of the story, and her being like the annoying older sister, like that she would not have a very integral role in the story. She has an amazing role, and she's a very bright girl, and I really enjoy her character. Like I really enjoy her character. That's why she's one of my favorite from the show. She always has a gun on her, and I love it. I love that she just knows how to. First of all, I think we got a little bit of sneak peek because that show's been out for a while. I kind of forgot what happened, but like I don't remember how she knows how to shoot a gun and why she has a gun because her dad doesn't.
I think she said she used to shoot with her dad when she was little.
Right? First of all, he does not give a hunter vibe.
He does not.
He does not give. I have guns. I shoot. I do anything.
He gives very there but absent type vibes.
He gives very much. I go to work. I make a check. I come home and I enjoy being by myself. Like he's like I don't want to be bothered. Right. But I still show up for family events every now and then. And then my wife is just living her best, weirdly, housewife energy life, which I love that for her because she's like so oblivious. She is so oblivious.
She was ready to cheat on her with Billy.
She was. Yeah, she was like, I need some more excitement in my life. Which honestly I get. I get. But yeah, like I like how both of those shows that were like 90s and 80s based shows, how they didn't make anybody
useless.
Yeah. Like nobody was really useless, which is very different because you haven't seen I can't wait to talk about it, but you haven't seen American Horror Story. Another thing that's kind of similar is an American Horror Story in 1984, I believe. I think that's why I said 1984 at the beginning of this podcast. That was the season, and in that season it was basically similar. Like ghosts and murderers would come back to kill everybody in that like in the campsite. But some of the characters were just there to be pretty. Some of the characters were there to be cool looking. Like not all of them really had a good purpose. But Netflix has really changed that in the way they have done these like time period, late 80s, early 90s casts. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. But I also think it's very unrealistic because if I was in a friend group, I probably would have been that all out. And I would have been like, no, you guys got this. I'm going to go home. They don't want me. They want Sam. And I would have just left. I wouldn't have helped.
I mean, honestly, yes. Like, I probably be like, y'all got this. Yeah. Y'all got this. But also, a part of me is just like, well, I've already been through this traumatic thing tonight. And who's to say they won't come for me?
It wouldn't have been me. I would have been at home hugging my mama and my daddy in their bed.
I don't know. I feel like somehow I would have found a way or a reason to stay. But it couldn't be me putting that blood on me and running from the people. Sorry, couldn't have been me.
That was very risky.
Couldn't be. I'm like, I'll be in there with all y'all and we just get ready to fight them. Yeah. But I'm not gonna be basically splitting up.
Right.
While these people be first of all, why they move so silent? Only the Lord knows themselves. Yeah. I don't know why they move so silent. Yeah, but you shouldn't be that big and when that man was he was running with an axe like a 7 foot 8 wide feet top man, and he's weirdly quiet when he moves, except when he runs.
Did they not hear him coming behind Simon?
And then that humming girl, she has never been quiet in the whole movie because she's able to stick up beside somebody and start cutting ankles and stuff. Yeah. The only one that's actually understandably sneaky is Ryan, which is scary because he be moving, he be jetting, and you don't see nothing until he already in front of your face. And I don't like that. It's
scary.
But first of all, everybody in this movie does handle stab wounds to the gut pretty well.
Yeah, because
that would be over for the count.
Yeah, in the beginning where Heather got stabbed. Oh, I would have been done. I would have just gave him, be like, get me.
Because at that point, like, I don't know if I did this anymore. Yeah. Oh no.
I would have stopped fighting.
But I really enjoyed that. And I guess one of my other favorite characters, and I actually really enjoyed this, and I said this when we were rewatching yesterday, I was like, I really enjoyed how Josh was one of the characters that knew everything, but he didn't end up dying. Because if you don't know, Bird Box, a lot of the movies where you have that character just kind of like the conspiracy theories, that's prepared for everything, ready everything, they always end up dying somehow. Either later or early in the episode, movie, or series. And it's always annoying to me because I'm like, you were the most prepared out of everybody. Why did you end up dying? Right. And sometimes they end up sacrificing their life because they feel like they know everything and so this, but it just didn't make sense. I loved how he did not die. I loved how he was close to it, but he didn't. And his knowledge and his usefulness proved to help them. Right. I loved that. Right. And it really proved himself to be part of the friend group. And I really enjoyed that. And the second movie is not my favorite out of the whole trilogy. Weird enough to say, but I really liked the first one because the first one just was like nice. Yeah. The second one, I'm not gonna lie, it felt kind of long. It felt kind of long.
It was,
and I don't know if it's because they were trying to establish so much pre-situation energy, but it felt kind of long. But also the last movie didn't feel that long, and the last movie was literally everything pre-everything situation. But I think it was because it was getting over the big like hump of everything.
Yeah.
Of the plot twist and everything. But the middle one was still good. I still really enjoyed it. It was just out of the three, it wasn't my favorite. But the series as a whole gives like an A plus in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So me saying that the second one wasn't that good was really me just saying the second one was like basically an A out of an A plus. So it was really good. It was really good and it was really enjoyable. And that will actually probably be one of our next episodes. So we'll probably be talking about that one. But I really did enjoy that. It's not one of the shows that you really need to dive deep into the characters. It's a team based show, so it got to the root of it and we got to everything. Movie. My bad, I keep saying show. But it wasn't one of those things that got really deep.
Yeah.
Right? So there's not really much, in my opinion, to like speculate on the characters in this first movie, but in the second and the third one, because we get like backstory. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. But I thank you guys for watching. Again, I'm your host, Ezra Royal. You can find me on pretty much any social media, just Ezra Royal. That is EzraRoyall.
And you can find me on Instagram, Heaven Williams with double M at the end of Williams. And on TikTok, I'm pretty sure it's Heaven_Williams.
And you can follow the podcast Hollows Fright everywhere at Hollows Fright. That is HOLLOWSFRIGHT. We are on Twitter. We are also on TikTok, but I haven't been posting anything on TikTok recently. I think we need to start doing that. Yes. And obviously we're on Instagram. Those are the three places you can find me. Us at the accounts. But thank you for watching. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.